Andy, thanks so much for sitting down with us here at the American Seed Trade Association's Corn, Sorghum, and Soybean Seed Research Conference. It's been a busy week for you.
It has been a great week, Julie. We always enjoy coming here, seeing obviously our members and our friends and colleagues from the public and private sector, in that opportunity to come together and talk about what's going on in the seed industry, what new innovations we can see, and what's happened this last year. So it's that usual time. It's December. We're in Chicago. It snowed the first day, so everything's great.
Everything happened that should have happened.
Exactly.
What were some of the highlights of the meeting this year?
Well, we've done a number of things this year to modify the programming and really try to attract additional participation in activities. One, we completely remodeled the trade show floor, and we brought all of our exhibitors and supporters down on the trade show floor. So we have our 4 major companies as anchors down there and really try to drive traffic down. And it seems to be quite a success this year, and we're really looking forward to some tweaks we'll make for next year. But our sessions this year were just outstanding. We had Dan Bossi return with great ag economist and really good presentation. But right after that, we had 4 of the lead senior management for Corteva, BASF, Bayer, and Syngenta around the fireside chat, essentially. And it was really a good, almost 2 hours of discussion with them, answering questions, bantering back and forth, and talking about the future of the seed industry, as well as their companies and where they see that going. And then this morning we capped it off with Undersecretary Greg Eyeball came in and talked to us about innovation and where he's looking to help bring the Department of Agriculture and where the Secretary has his priorities. And so really rounded that out well.
Yeah, it's been fun to sit in on some of those sessions and hear that dialogue and perspective, and having those 4 heads together up there was really a unique opportunity.
It was for us too, and I think it enabled all of the seed company and our strong regional seed companies to have listen to what they have to say, but also the chance to talk to some of them as well. And so several of them took the time to meet other members of the industry and talk to other seed companies that are involved. They may be licensees and participating and get some feedback from the industry.
Great. As you know, it's December, and oftentimes this is the time of the year where we reflect on what's happened over the course of the last year, and we're also goal setting for 2019. What are some of the, what do you consider a success when you look at the activities of ASTA in 2018, and what are your goals into 2019?
Well, we've had a successful year continuing to raise the awareness of the seed industry and ASTA across the board, whether it's in our state capitals or in Washington, D.C., or on the international level. And that's really helpful because we are able to tell the story about plant breeding and innovation that we have going on. And so we continue that process. We were able to get some language in the Farm Bill, and hopefully it gets passed here in the next couple of weeks, that impacts intellectual property and seed. And there was just a clause that was missing to guarantee that intellectual property protection, both in PVPA, or the Plant Variety Protection Act, as well as the Plant Patent Act. And so we're hoping that gets through and taken care of, but it was both in the House and Senate, and that was a big step, especially for our vegetable and flower seed folks, not so much the row crops, but especially for them. And then just our activity this last year on plant breeding innovation, continuing to raise that awareness to drive policy within the Trump administration, and then on the international level, being able to convene countries with like-minded philosophies on plant breeding and their policies around it. And so that's been very successful this last year.
Great. And moving forward into 2019, I am sure you're looking to continue those efforts. It's not a one and done, but what are you wanting to accomplish?
Well, the industry will see us rolling out here in the next couple of weeks a really stepped up effort on plant breeding innovation, really to help, one, influence that policy development, but also help have a conversation with the consumer. We realized that when we went through the efforts with GMOs and bringing them to market, we really tried to out-science the consumer. We went out and said, here's the science, trust us, it's good, instead of having a conversation and then getting to the science. Mm-hmm. And we've set up a platform where we will have that conversation, and we're having it across the food value chain. We'll be talking with chefs, we'll be talking with retail outlets, food producers, the produce community, to really make sure that they understand that plant breeding is evolving, and that's what this is. And we don't want to have that limit on plant breeding going forward, but we also want them to feel comfortable with what we're doing and understand what that is. And so that's going to be a major effort this year. In addition, obviously, we're going into a presidential cycle, and we have a lot of new members, I think 137 new members of Congress. So they'll need educating. So we'll have to spend some time with them and with our members, helping us entertain them and understand what the seed industry is, how we operate, and how important a role we play.
I'm going to feed off of your answer a little bit. FDA has said that they're going to move forward with their Biotechnology Innovation Action Plan. What are some of and you guys were supportive of that. Yes. What are some of the positive benefits that you expect from that change?
Well, FDA plays a key role in this. Anything that goes into food, they have to review. And right now, under the Biotechnology Coordinated Framework, or Part 340 regulation, they have the opportunity to review any new traits coming into the marketplace. And our companies can ask them to review. And that's how FDA works across the board on all of their food ingredients that they have control of. We've been working closely with them to help them understand the technology and breeding techniques and what it means to new varieties coming to market. And we're hoping that they continue their policy that they have had in the past, that is really kind of a decision tree and how they make a decision of whether something needs to be reviewed or doesn't. And we feel, as I've said, that as we look at plant breeding, this is just an evolution of plant breeding. And if you bring a variety to market that you could have done through what we would call conventional breeding, there's no foreign DNA in it, then it should be treated the same way as it is today, no pre-market review. So that's our goal in that. FDA has gotten some good feedback from the public. They asked for not just comments, whether you're for it or against it, they asked for comments with science backing it up. And we put some good comments in, and we know the research community, the public research community put good comments in. And so we're excited that FDA will look at this from the standpoint of what's the right thing to do and how to move forward. So we'll continue to work with them on that. But I think it's important that FDA takes that leadership role, because they're looked at not only domestically from the food companies, but internationally from our trading partners. Mm-hmm. And how is the FDA going to look at it? We've had those questions, and that's very helpful that they're moving forward with it in a public way.
That is exciting to see. So.
Yeah, it really is.
On the Farm Bill, you mentioned it earlier, and so there's a lot to the Farm Bill. What are some of the pieces that stand out to you that you're excited about, or what does the seed industry need to be prepared for if it were to move forward?
Well, there's a number of things in there, and just as the industry that is very supportive of the America's farmers, and they need that certainty that a Farm Bill gives them on policy. What do things look like going forward? What are the crop insurance requirements or guidelines in that? So that's a key one. In getting that passed, it's very important for America's farmers. The other side of that is looking at conservation and how cover crops are being handled, as cover crops continue to be a desirable way to deal with not only the soil microbiome, but also any other environmental impacts. We see more and more farmers interested in moving that way. And so how does policy impact farmers' choice of getting in or not with cover crops? And so that's going to be a key one too. And then overall, we'll continue to be excited about the research components of the Farm Bill, because that's our bread and butter. That is the seed industry's backbone, as far as having that ability to work with the land grant institutions as they look to develop, whether it's developing new varieties, discovering more information about the genetics or the plant interactions in plantings. That then becomes public record, and oftentimes comes into the seed industry to be used to create new varieties. And so that interaction with the research community at USDA, as well as our land grants, is key for us. And so there's some good money in that for the coming 5 years.
Well, that's great to hear. We've talked about the Farm Bill, and we've talked about FDA's Biotechnology Innovation Action Plan. But when you stand back and you look at the political lay of the land, what are 3 things that you have your eye on that could impact the seed industry, either negatively or positively? But what are you watching?
Well, a number of things. As I mentioned, it's going to be important going forward to get clear direction from the administration on gene editing and other breeding techniques as they evolve. Part of that's we have to continue to play an active role on the Hill so that we get support from them as they move forward. And part of the challenge with that too is in any presidential cycle, political year, especially now that the Democratic House and Republican Senate, there will be friction. And hopefully we don't get caught up in that, but it's inevitable. So how do we work through that friction? Also, as we look at the new makeup of the House with the Democratic Party and other factors there, what are the opportunities within that change in leadership to really tell the story about seed and the importance of it and take the positive hybrid? And I think we're going to be looking at doing that. You know, Julie, I don't anticipate a lot getting done in the next 2 years in Congress in Washington, D.C. We will see some good opportunities in policy making that the president can do and that his people can do at the agencies. And I think that's where we'll see some positive progress for seed. And whether it's, again, cover crop policy that Natural Resources Conservation Service can do under USDA, allocation of dollars for research in certain component areas in going forward, and where they come down on science, because science is, as I said, the backbone of our industry, and we've got to continue to support that science community, public and private. That is the base of what we do, and that's where we'd like to see the administration be a little stronger in their comments and everything going forward. So I'll just mention our session coming up at our Vegetable and Flower Seed Conference in February. We'll have on confined environment agriculture production. So greenhouse production really is taken off quite a bit in the country, a lot of investment there, and a lot of opportunity for the seed industry to work closely with that community.
Yeah, that is exciting and something that's different than maybe what we're used to seeing. I had the chance to go to the Netherlands earlier this year, and I was just blown away. You mentioned science a couple times, and what is the industry doing? What is ASTA doing to teach the value of science and the importance of science to generations much younger?
Well, ASTA has a Seed First Foundation, and really it's one of our cores that we talk about. We've developed a curriculum for elementary or first year students, the teachers to use with their students, because almost every classroom grows a seed of some kind, and they teach the biology of plant growth. And so we've developed a curriculum, run it through the Science Teachers, American Science Teachers Association, to have it certified. And so that's used by quite a few classrooms around the country. But what we started doing too is really talking to young PhDs. And we get a video, or we ask them to video themselves, and we put them up on YouTube. We use them when we're telling our story, because there's nothing better than a young scientist who's fresh out of getting his or her PhD, and they're excited about it, and they're really passionate about the opportunities that they have to help America's farmers, but also help the farmers of developing countries. We know that we're going to have 9 billion people on the face of the earth by 2050. So seed is going to play a key role in being able to feed those people. So those scientists are really passionate about what they do, and we've got to tell that story from the standpoint of a young person's eyes and the opportunities that's there. So we're really trying to shift how we do that, and then talk to high school and college students about opportunities in the seed industry. It's not just plant scientists and breeders and geneticists anymore. It's statisticians, it's IT, it's all of these things that really dramatically changed in the seed industry lately.
And that's one of the things that I'm really interested in and kind of following is, how do we recruit outside of agriculture, but bring them into the fold so that they have an understanding of how things operate on the ground, and to connect those dots a little bit. But
and this year, we signed a memorandum of understanding agreement with FFA. Really start to reach out with FFA kids, and then the next step up of working with Agriculture Futures of America, AFA, and that's the college students, and how do we bring them into the program and let them see ASTA and let them then talk to their peers again, whether it's a video or something else, that they can send that message out that, hey, this is a cool industry, there's a lot of opportunity here, and you really can make a difference. And so those are some of the things that we're trying to do. We're still working very closely with the Tri-Societies, National Association of Plant Breeders, and others to help get that message out.
Word of mouth and positive energy goes a long way.
It really does. It really does.
My last question for you here today is what one project, partnership, initiative are you most excited about to be working on?
Let's see what we got. We've got a lot of irons in the fire, and it's a lot of fun. You know, I'd have to say the plant breeding innovation one is really exciting to me, and that's one that we're going to have ongoing. And as you said, Julie, it's not one that we're just going to be one and done. It's going to take years. And as it continues to evolve, we're going to have to continue to tell that story. But the one I'm probably most excited about is opportunity to work with the FFA and AFA on future seed industry participants or employees, you know, people that would be involved in the industry, or partners, because some of them will go into research. They'll go to a land-grant institution, and they'll be an FFA teacher. So that's really, really exciting for us. And you can't beat being with all those FFA students or AFA students and how sharp they are, how well they're very polished, and they are eager to learn. And that's what we really want to get excited about.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us here, and congratulations on hosting another successful conference.
Thanks, Julie. Great to have you here. Thanks for telling the stories.
Happy to.